Hey everyone, welcome back to Pass the Torch Legacies in Jewelry. My name is Naja, and you may be able to hear it in my voice. I'm kind of on the up end, but I have been so super sick, unfortunately, for a very long time. I counted the days. I think I'm on day 14, and in order to record this episode, have had to take a lot of cough drops and a lot of cough suppressant in attempts to get through this episode without needing to pause to cough. So, thank you so much for tuning in and bearing with me as I have almost gone dark for a little bit. I've heard, again, this was my first year at Tucson. I've heard through the grapevine before that everyone gets sick at this show. And so I had started taking supplements about a month before to try to avoid getting sick to boost my immune system. And even with all of those supplements and all that effort, I still got so sick. I honestly think I was patient zero. Like, I don't think anyone else got as sick as I did. And that really is a bummer. But I am on the recovery, and I had to go on antibiotics. And basically, what I had was I had a sinus infection in addition to having like the flu in my throat, and then I also had double ear infections. So both ears were completely clogged. Um, my nasal everything was just swollen, and my throat was swollen shut. It was a rough few days for me, and unfortunately it came right at the end of Tucson, leading into when I was supposed to take that class, that engraving class that I've been looking forward to for a year with Jeff Park. And I had to drop out of the class, which was honestly a little bit devastating. I was really sad about it, for a really long time, and thankfully, I have an opportunity to retake that class whenever it is being held next. So, thankfully, I was able to work with Jeff on that, and Jeff being just the amazing person that he is and supporting me and wanting me to be healthy. This sickness really took me out because at first, when I first started feeling bad, like, I got body aches. That's why, in my speech that I gave at the Out of the Jewel box, I was, like, so confused. I was like, "Is anyone else in just, like, excruciating pain?" And little did I know it was, like, the body aches of the sickness starting to kick in, and when I was just like, "Oh my gosh, no one's feeling as bad as I'm feeling. What is going on?" And then I started to feel like my voice was starting to leave, and I thought it was because I had been talking for, you know, so many days, without stopping. Excuse me. I thought it was because I had been talking and not resting my voice, and it was, 4 or 5 days in Tucson, just, 12, 14-hour days just socializing with people. So, I thought that I was just losing my voice because I had been social, and little did I know I was just getting the early, preview as what was to come, which was, the second day of the engraving class is when it really hit, and it hit me so hard. What really hurt was the double ear infection, and when you're engraving, there's actually a lot of balance involved, and because your ears are such a central part of your balance, my head was swimming. It was swollen, and I was trying to engrave these straight lines, which is like the very first thing that we do in this class. And I've engraved before a little bit, not a ton, but I knew that I could pull like a decently straight line, and I couldn't do it, and my lines weren't clean, and I was like, what is going on? This feels really bad. Like, I and so that was, like, my first indicator of, like, I don't have my central point of balance. And what that just reaffirms for me is how, we really have to take care of our health, especially jewelers, because when you lose your health, it doing this job is next to impossible. Just physically, even with posture and carpal tunnel and balance and, all of these things, um, really, really matter, and taking care of yourself and prioritizing taking care of yourself. And it was the second day of the engraving class, and I called my husband at midnight, and I was so sick. I couldn't function. Like, honestly, I should not have even been driving. I drove, like, the 15 minutes to get to class to, like, pick up my stuff that was there. But I honestly should not have probably even been driving. I was just clearly, like, so everything was just congested and swollen. And, I called my husband at midnight. He got a flight out at 6 a.m. the next morning, and I had my car out in Arizona, and, I couldn't drive. I knew I couldn't make that drive back by myself, and I couldn't fly because I couldn't leave my car, and so my husband flew out, and I met him at the airport, and he drove 12 hours straight. Like, we didn't even stop to get food or lunch or anything, like, we just stopped for gas. He drove me straight 12 hours to get me home, and then I spent the next, like, 5 days in bed. So, that was really brutal, especially feeling like Tucson for me was such a success. Like, I felt like it was a really successful trip. I did everything I wanted to do, and I met the amazing people that I wanted to meet, and it was just honestly, it was beautiful. If I knew that I was going to get this sick every year, that would be hard because I know my body couldn't sustain it. So, going to these trade shows, having like, knowing that you run the risk of getting sick. I think this was honestly a little bit of a fluke, like, I got so sick, I feel like it was almost like an anomaly, but after I shared that I was sick, I got a bunch of tips from a lot of people who have to go to these trade shows regularly. A lot of the dealers messaged me. One thing that stood out to me was a message from the lovely Kimberly Collins, who I have a great relationship with. She said that before any of these trade shows, she actually goes and gets an IV drip of vitamins. And so, in addition to all the supplements that I had started taking a month before going to Tucson and trying to boost my immune system, also going and getting vitamins would probably be a great addition to try to keep your health up. So anyways, moving on. I am a board member of the Colorado chapter of WJA, and unfortunately, because I am still sick, because I am still contagious, I was unable to attend the event that they hosted last night, which was a Tucson show and tell, which I was so jealous because so many of my community in Colorado picked up so many cool things, and I wanted to see them and talk to them and all of that, but I had to stay home. I don't want to get anyone else sick. I don't wish this upon anyone. Um, and I wasn't able to participate in last night's Tucson show and tell. It was an incredibly successful event. They said that they had a great turnout and it was so fun. And also, jewelers who didn't go to Tucson also still came to the show and tell and just brought what they were working on and things that they have. And that's just such a fun community element. And that's why I love WJA and especially our Colorado chapter of Women's Jewelry Association. Like, we have both men and women in it equally, and it's just such an awesome community. I love it. I love being a part of it so much. Excuse me. Um, but I didn't get to participate, and so I thought that I would take the opportunity of having my podcast to basically do what they did, which is give a little show and tell of everything that I brought back from Tucson. And so, if you're watching this on video, which if you're just listening, that's fine. But if you want to see what I'm showing, I'll describe everything. But if you want to see what I'm showing, switch over to either YouTube or I'll try to put the video up on Spotify, so that you can actually see some of the things that I brought back. I brought back mostly tooling. I did not go into Tucson with a big budget, but I definitely spent the most money on tooling. The goal of the show was not to shop, it was to network, and I definitely did that, but of course, you end up shopping while you're there anyways, and I got the biggest haul from Kent's Jewelry Supply Store, which is a jewelry store in Tucson that is just, like, really close to the trade shows, and they're stocked. We don't have anything like that in Colorado. We have one jewelry supply store called Stone Stop, which is great, but it's also just really far from me, and the inventory is just a little bit different. And Kent's jewelry supply store was just like off the charts. It was really cool, and some stuff that they have there, I'll just be honest, is like overpriced. Some stuff is fairly priced, um, but when you're starting out and you're someone like me who didn't have any prior experience on the bench and you go to a lot of these other jewelers shops and you see their benches, you don't know what things are called and you don't know where to buy them. Like everything feels foreign. And so there was some stuff that I just didn't know about and stuff that I had never seen and I didn't know where to buy it. And some of the stuff is kind of harder to find. And so that's why that was such a great pit stop for me, was it's just nice sometimes to get like one-offs. And instead of buying, a lot of these things you have to buy in bulk or buy in pack. And at Kent's you can just buy one, and that's all you need sometimes. And so that was probably like the best part of it all. And so I wanted to go through and show what I got. Um Another one of the most successful elements of the trade show for me was I made these trade show recovery kits in combination with giving out my business card. And it was so fun and so successful. And if anyone else wants to copy that idea, like I'm not trying to own that idea, I think it's so great. I got so much positive feedback on giving those out. I actually have one upstairs. Let me pause the recording really quickly and go grab one. Okay, so these are my jewelry trade show recovery kits. In the front, it's just this little baggie, and in the front, it has my business card. And right behind the business card, it has those like under eye patches. And I got those because everyone's so tired and just trying their best. Um, and it just helps you look a little bit more awake. I love them. And also in the packet, I gave emergency for everyone to get a boost of vitamin C, again, because I know that germs fly around these trade shows. And then I also included a little pack of lemon ginger tea for digestion. And then also in these, I had little packs of ibuprofen. This one is missing its ibuprofen because when I was in so much pain from the body aches, I actually stole a couple ibuprofen out of these packs. And this is one of the ones that I stole. I only have 3 of these packs left. I made 100 of them and I gave away 97 of them. And it was just honestly such a smashing success to like be talking to someone, and whether it was dealers or friends or just anyone who came up to say hi, like I was just able to give them something and it's something practical. And I feel like it was just such a great way on a human connection point to just be like, hey, we're both just trying our best here. Here's a little something for you to help boost you up. And I would love if like little medical care kits became a trend at these trade shows. Like we're all just like on the cusp of getting sick, trying to not get sick, trying to stay on our feet, trying to, just do our best. And I would love if more people created little like care packages and then put their business card in them because it's a great way. Like when you're just handing a business card, like so many people just throw that away, but if they get like a little treat with it, like it's just, I don't know, it's more appealing. And so I had a ton of fun making those. Shout out to my friend Allie Henry who helped make them. Or sorry, Allie Grant, she got married. And I loved them and I would love to see other people making them, putting different things in them. My friend Chapin had the idea of putting like Epsom salts in them so that people can take a bath and like recover while at the trade shows. Excuse me. So, anyways, so the way that things are set up here and how I'm going to unfold the rest of this episode, I have everything laid out on my dining room table that I purchased that I want to show. And I'm not in my shop right now because I have actually started to pack up my shop. So this is the first time I'm saying this. Nobody knows this, but I actually got news that I have to move. And I'm honestly really sad about it. I love the house that I live in. I love the community where I live. And I love just the house that I live in has history, and I won't go into it here, but it's really sad news that I have to move out, and I will be finding new accommodations, and I will be moving my shop. So that will be a big part of my content this year. And I'm currently trying to look for a space for my shop that is bigger than the one that I have because I am running out of space. I am starting to accumulate um, a lot of tools, which is great because it improves the quality. of my shop, but I have a very small shop space, and I'm hoping for something a little bit on a larger scale, honestly. And so um, I'm not putting all of this stuff that I got in Tucson into my shop right now because all of it is honestly kind of packed. And I'm going to be moving in the next 2 months, and I don't want to have to unpack everything, organize it, and then repack it. So honestly, I'm just going to keep everything kind of in its original packaging, and I will unpack it in my new space whenever and wherever I find it. But I have a lot to look forward to. This move is bittersweet for me. I know it is the best option for my family moving forward. So I'm just gonna take it day by day and figure it out as I go. But without further ado, here's my like quote unquote Tucson haul or Tucson show and tell. So, all right, starting out strong, I got a miter vise cutting jig. And these are not cheap. They're roughly $50, $60. And it is probably one of the best tools that you can have as a hand fabricator. It helps you get the correct angles. It's just a really versatile tool. It helps you make things flat. I did not own one. I did not know what one was until I want to say Brady Mesh showed me his. And it is just a tool that if you don't have it, it's really hard to replicate. And it's kind of a buy once, use it for life thing. So I did buy that. That was probably one of the more expensive little utility purchases that I made. Another one that I wanted to have on my bench at all times is this like stainless steel wire gauge. I did not have one of these, so I was constantly just measuring the thickness of my metal or my wire or anything, my sheet, and then just like doing the math to figure out the gauge. Or I have like a little chart on the wall of my shop, and, I was just always, like, looking to see what the gauge is. So this is honestly just super quick and helpful, like, to keep at your bench. Having one of these is a great little tool. I got this little mason jar with a, like, strainer in it, and I purchased this for acetone because I use a lot of super glue, and acetone is the best way to remove super glue. But when you put acetone in a jar and then you put the piece with super glue in that jar, that glue just kind of like accumulates at the bottom and still sticks to the piece to some capacity. And so I like that this is almost like a suspended basket so that the glue will drop down into the jar and the piece stays elevated so that you just get a clean, like a super clean dissolvent of getting that super glue off of the piece. One of the more expensive pliers that I purchased was this ring bending plier. This is a German ring bending plier. Um, and it just has that curve to it. Just if you're sizing, again, it's kind of like that once in a lifetime purchase. If you don't have the right pliers to bend a ring when you're sizing and you go in and you have a sharp corner or something and then you like dent that metal, that just helps avoid that. And then it's just less like when you're doing repairs, time is everything, speed is everything. That just helps go a little bit faster. Got a ton of stuff for the flux shaft. Again, and these are all like one-offs. Sanding sticks, a lot of I think they're called Mozzie wheels, just the harder wheels, puff wheels. I don't even know what a lot of these are called. Leather wheels, Scotch Brite wheels, all the things. There's a whole bag of them. Um, Again, I got a lot of pliers, and some of these are the same. And honestly, I bought them as the same so that I could modify them. I have a lot of ways that I like to modify my tools to work for me. And this is something that I have been thinking about a lot lately is when you're I'll just be frank. When you're a female and you don't have as much strength as the male bench jeweler counterpart, having the correct tools is a huge part of your skill set. And I say that because I don't have the strength to force metal to my will. You know, I can't just bend things like the way that, my brain wants to do it. I have to have the right tools to get the right grip and the right pressure. And a lot of that is just getting more advanced tooling. So, I would love a hydraulic press to be able to push things to the next level. I love and intend to use air tools. So have just a little bit more force that I can't replicate just in my pure strength. So I also got these like felt wheels to put my diamond paste on. I do a lot of stone cutting and I make my own diamond paste. And so these little felt wheels help just apply that diamond paste really beautifully. I also got super cerium oxide. So I use a lot of cerium oxide as a final polish on the stones that I cut. And super cerium oxide is just another level to that. If you have questions about that, you're welcome to DM me, and I would love to tell you what the diamond paste is and um, all those little fun facts. I don't know if anyone cares about that, but I nerd out about it. This was a great find. I have a ultrasonic that's just an empty vat and doesn't have any like wires or anything. I've been using copper to like suspend things in the ultrasonic, and this was a great find. This is just like a little ring holder that's going to sit perfectly in my ultrasonic. Again, one of these one-off things that like I wouldn't know where to search for this just on the interwebs, but it was great to see in store and I just bought it. So, I got a couple third hands, which are amazing. I got this extra little bench pin that just clamps onto anywhere because sometimes I have friends who come visit my shop and I teach them how to like make a silver ring or something. And there was one time I had 3 people in my shop and I didn't have enough bench pins. So I just got an extra bench pin just in case I have someone who comes through that's, just wanting to mess around, play around. I got one of these little wood uh, tool holders. It's going to predominantly be for saw blades, which is great. Again, I didn't have one of those. I don't know. I know people buy these things and accumulate stuff over time, but I didn't know where to access these things. I'm so new to this, and so that was just a nice little find. These bracelet mandrels, and I did get an extra ring or not bracelet mandrel, sorry, bracelet sizers, extra ring sizer for when I'm on the go. I keep a toolbox and a packed kind of like my bench on the go setup. And so I have everything on my bench and then I have some duplicates in a travel bag because I do travel to a lot of people's shops. Sometimes I go all the way up to Boulder to go to Boma and I want my stuff with me. So it's nice to just have doubles so that I don't have to repack and unpack and repack everything every time that I travel. Um, Really fun thing from Pepe. These are really consistent spray bottles that they make that I put this Prips Flux into. This is really great if you work in 22 karat gold, which I do, and it just coats it. It operates like a fire coat. It prevents fire scale. So you spray it over the entire piece. You spray flux over the entire, you coat the whole thing instead of just fluxing the one point of the joint. And that spray bottle helps you get that really consistent layer of flux on the piece. And I find that that works best, especially when you're working in high carat gold. Little tidbit. If that's new information to you, I love it. I picked up some hammers. This one is a brand called Wubbers. That are gonna go on my hammer wall. I have a hammer wall. Oh, the thing that I am most excited about, like hands down, um, that I found at Kent's that I have been looking for a year and have not been able to find are these Gourmet checkering files, and I got them in 3 grits because I have been looking for checkering files. They're very rare and they're very hard to find. I'm a texture girly. I love texture on metal. I am always looking for new ways to create a cool texture, and checkering files help do that. They basically are exactly how they sound. They have like a checkerboard pattern and they leave that checkerboard pattern behind on the metal, and it's so cool. And they're just kind of like one of those things that's kind of like a dying German thing. Like people don't know about checkering files, and so there's less of a demand for them. And so the supply out there is very limited, and so that was why it was so hard for me to find for so long. Again, I've been looking for them for like a year, and I have not been able to find them. So, um, when I was at Snag, uh, they had a Pepe booth there, and they have these brand new like nano saw blades. So I'll check those out as well. And I picked up from them some new solder picks because I only have one solder pick, and I've used it for every metal. And I've had the same one that I bought off of a guy retiring. I bought it like 2 years ago when I very first started, and I've never gotten another soldering pick. So now I have three. But Pepe also has these like titanium ones that look interesting to me that I have not tried, that I would be curious to try. I got a wood DAP block that just has some circles in it. And then I got lots of handles. So lots of wood handles for gravers and files, which again, like it was just easier to buy these in person. So that is pretty much my Tucson haul. I think the only other thing that I picked up was, I'm going to butcher this name, Remy Rotenier, the lovely French gentleman who is known for his gouache rendering. I bought a DVD from him on color rendering because I'm trying to improve my gouache skills. So I will be watching that. And actually, I have a FaceTime, or not a FaceTime, a Zoom call with him later today to just chat and connect. And I want to hear about his story and all those fun, and how he even got um, into this field. I'm not recording it. It's just a chat between him and I, and we'll see if he ever wants to come on the podcast. I would love to have him on the podcast. As far as stones go, I did not buy a ton of stones. But what I did buy is I got some opals that I'm really excited about. I'm kind of on an opals kick. I enjoy making doublets. So I bought opals that I can make doublets with. And again, doublets is just when you have multiple layers of multiple different stones that are hexstalled, which is an epoxy hexstalled together, and then you cut them. So I like backing opals with different colors, and so it kind of helps bring different fire out of the stone. And so I bought opals to do that, and then I have a great relationship with, shocker, Brazilian gem dealers, because if you don't know, both of my parents are Brazilian and I'm first generation American, and so connecting with Brazilian gem dealers is probably one of my favorite things to do at a trade show. And I bought a lot of tourmalines, which are not normally a stone that I have in past gravitated towards because I was intimidated by how soft it is. But I bought a lot of raw tourmalines because I want to cut them myself. And I feel like if I cut them myself, I'll be less intimidated by them. We'll see if that actually ends up becoming the truth. But yeah, that's kind of like my general Tucson haul. I hope you enjoyed it. There's a lot coming on Pass the Torch in the next few months, so stay tuned. Again, I will be moving, and so I will be rebuilding my shop from the ground up, which will be a huge part of my content, in addition to some really amazing interviews, debates, and I will also be bringing you along on a art fair that I'm going to. So Michael Boyd, who's one of my dear friends and mentors, is going to the La Quinta art show, which is in Palm Springs, and he's setting up his tent there. And I'm going to go along and help him do that, which I'm so excited for. And I'm going to take you along because I don't know how to do, like, this is kind of, I guess it's my second time, but like, as a new jeweler, when you're thinking about, okay, what's the trajectory of my career? Like, one of my goals is to eventually have my own tent or booth in an art fair or a craft show. And that is like a complicated thing to start to do when you've never done it before. And so that's probably going to be my next episode coming out, is I'm going to bring you guys along, as he's done it 1,000,010 times and I'm doing it for the first time. So I will ask him questions as we go through this process. And obviously selling is not new to me. I have a background in sales, but setting up a tent and then operating a tent is a different beast. And I'm excited to share that because, again, the whole premise of this podcast is to be educational, and I'm using it as my vehicle for education. And so I'm learning as I'm going through all of this and I'm bringing you along with me. So thank you for listening to this episode. It was a brief one, but a fun one of Pass the Torch Legacies in Jewelry. I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Cheers.